So I ended up breaking up with him through text on Valentine's Day. Hello friends, it is me, and it is Valentine's Day season, unfortunately. And this season's always really depressing for me, and I have never had a good romantic Valentine's Day. They've all been like really terrible. I've either been fighting with somebody or just not having a good time, I don't know. So I decided that this year we're gonna be making a heart-shaped pizza instead, so that way we can actually have something to look forward to. It's fine. It's actually past Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day was last Friday, but I don't really care either way because it was just a terrible time and we're not gonna talk about it. I'm just kidding. This Valentine's Day actually wasn't that bad. I like went out with my friends to like a couple of breweries. We had like a pretty like normal Friday night though. Like it wasn't anything extravagant and it definitely wasn't anything romantic. So, all right, so I got my pizza dough. I'm gonna make vegan pizza because my body hates me and literally wants me to be unhappy. And the only two things that I like eating are cheese and sour cream, and I'm not supposed to have either because I'm vegetarian and I'm lactose tolerant. So we're gonna make vegan pizza today instead of regular pizza, just make this a little more depressing. All right, I'm gonna start by putting this dough onto the tray and then we're gonna make it in heart shape. I don't know, I get why people like Valentine's Day, but I've never been in a relationship where I'm like super stoked about it. Honestly though, Valentine's Day for me has always just been bad. Like the last one that I think of, like just as a prime example, is that when I had my very first boyfriend in high school, I ended up breaking up with him on Valentine's Day. Yeah, because I am an asshole and suck at dating. Yeah, my first boyfriend that I broke up with on Valentine's Day was when I was 15. I was a sophomore in high school, and it was like, we had kind of met because he is a friend of my older sister's, and she had like become friends with some of his friends, and I was becoming friends with them slowly. And we ended up meeting in like, I don't even know, April or something, but I didn't end up talking to him until September. And then once he started talking, it was kind of like hard to tell if he was interested or not. And it was one of those weird things where it was like, is he flirting with me or is he just like an extremely nice guy? Because I know how nice he is. So he's like, I have no idea. It was just one of those things where it was like, I could never be like, oh yeah, he definitely likes me, especially because he was so much older than me and I was like really bad at talking to people at that point in my life. So I had no idea the entire time. Like we were just talking and talking and he would like never really hit on me or like do anything that like gave me the idea that he was interested. So I always just kind of like assumed that he wasn't. And this was back when I was like not looking cute. Like I know that I'm still not like the hottest person out there, but at that point I was not looking good at all. So even then I was like, yeah, there's absolutely zero chance that this boy who's 3 years older than me is interested in me in any way. And then finally one day he called me cute and I was like, we got him. And we started like flirting a lot more at that point. And then we ended up, I think he asked me to be his girlfriend. We ended up talking for like a couple of months. Actually, I was gonna say that I think he asked me to be his girlfriend in November, but now that I think about it, I think he asked me to be his girlfriend on New Year's, even though we weren't together. Like I think he texted me and asked me to be his girlfriend. Either that or it was like right before then. Like it may have been like December 30th or whatever right before, because I remember that all of our friends went on a trip for New Year's and I didn't go because I was only 15 at the time and like they were all 18, so I really like couldn't go with them. I don't know why. I actually don't remember why I didn't go, but yeah, I ended up not going for whatever reason, and I'm pretty sure I remember him texting me at midnight on New Year's about being his girlfriend. So I'm pretty sure he asked me that day, but I honestly don't remember. I feel like this is gonna be way too hard to make into a heart shape, and I'm probably just gonna have to like cut it into a heart shape later because forming it into a heart shape is like way harder than I thought it was gonna be. So yeah, as soon as he like asked me to be his girlfriend in January, things I feel like just started going really downhill for us. All right, that took way longer to do than I want to admit, but we finally got some semblance of a heart shape and hopefully it'll stay. I realized halfway through this that I used bread dough. I didn't use pizza dough, but you know what? It's the same difference. All right, so for my pizza, I'm also gonna put some red onion and then some peppers on it. That way it's not literally just sauce and bread, even though that is a thing here in Rhode Island. I don't know if anybody else has that. It's literally just a sauce pizza. It's like a party pizza where it's just sauce and crust. There's no cheese on it. And apparently that's a weird thing. Honestly, he was like the best boyfriend and I was like the big problem in our relationship just because he was so much older than me and he'd already had like a couple different serious relationships, whereas I like hadn't had any. So he had already had like a long-term girlfriend that he had been with for I think like a year or like 2 years maybe right before me, and they had broken up like, I think we did obviously like end of the year, and maybe they might have been broken up close to a year at that point, or they broke up, yeah, maybe close to a year when him and I finally started dating. So that was always kind of like weird to me, because it was kind of like he already knew how to be in a serious relationship and I didn't, because I had never been in one. So like he would do all these things that were like very serious boyfriend-ish or like very boyfriendy, and I like don't think that I knew how to like reciprocate that. So in turn I was just like a very shitty girlfriend. It's fine. He like was so nice. He still is. Him and I are really good friends. Love him. But I remember there was like one instance, for example, where like I had fallen asleep on him, and this was before cell phones were a thing. This was before iPhones. Like you had a cell phone but it had a keyboard, and like that was it. You couldn't do anything on it. All you could do was call and text people. And I remember that I had fallen asleep on him just like randomly. Like we were just sitting and listening to music, I think, or like talking or something, and I had fallen asleep on him, and he just sat there for like an hour and a half and didn't wake me up, didn't do anything, just like let me sleep, and that was it. And that to this day is like the nicest thing, because I'm like, wow, you really just sat there doing absolutely nothing for an hour and a half just so that I could sleep, because I was tired. And it was just like things like that that he did that were like so great. And to this day, I think that's part of the reason I still think of him as like the best boyfriend that I've had, because he just did like the nicest things. And he's just like a nice person in general. And I was definitely the problem in that. I think I was like overwhelmed by having a boyfriend at all, because obviously I said it a million times, but I hadn't had a serious relationship. So I feel like I got overwhelmed really easily when he was doing boyfriend things, and I felt like he was literally like smothering me. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, yeah, like now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, those were normal things to do in a relationship. But at the time I was like very immature, I guess, and like didn't really know what a serious relationship was. So it was just like really weird. And I remember I was like talking to my mom and sister about it for like probably 2 weeks after we started dating. I was like, wow, okay, like all of a sudden I feel like I'm being smothered compared to when we were just talking or whatever. And I was already thinking about breaking up with him. Imagine we got into our very first fight, and it was like a few days before Valentine's Day. And you guys, I genuinely wish I could remember what this fight was about, because I think it was like honestly about something really tiny. Like he had like, something had happened and I hadn't like asked about it again, or like, you know what I mean? Like something bad had happened and I didn't like follow up, or I don't know. It was something on me where I like just didn't think to like follow up and like check in on something that had happened. And I know he was like very upset about it, but at that point I was already feeling like overwhelmed, because I just didn't know what I was doing, and he was very boyfriendy. And I'm not somebody who's like overly emotional in a relationship or like extremely coupley. Like I don't like doing a lot of coupley stuff. I don't really like, I don't know, just over the top coupley gestures essentially. And he was much more like that than I was. So I feel like I literally didn't know what to do. I honestly remind myself of like Robin from How I Met Your Mother. Like if you have Lily, and if you've seen the show, if you have Lily and Marshall, and then you have Robin and Barney, like I am more Robin and Barney than I am Lily and Marshall, and I always have been. So I feel like that was kind of where the problem was, is he was Marshall, but I was Robin, so it just was not working. And if you haven't seen the show, I'm sorry that you don't get this reference. All right, I'm about to start crying. Everybody bear with me. So him and I got into this fight. This is the first fight I ever had with any boyfriend, including with him. The first real fight. There was another point where I'd kind of like a little bit confronted him, because he was like always bringing up things that he'd done with his ex-girlfriend, or like things, I don't know, like it was kind of weird. Like he would always bring up his ex-girlfriend a lot and be like, oh yeah, Bethany and I had done this together or that together. And like that was kind of a red flag for me, because I was like, why do you keep bringing up your ex-girlfriend if you and I are like talking? Like, I don't know. It was very weird, but like at the time he kind of just like explained it. Hold on, we're putting on these Jeffrey Dahmer glasses, and you probably won't be able to see me because of the ring light for a minute. So he had kind of like explained it away a little bit and was like, oh yeah, well it's just because her and I were together for so long, so like we had spent all this time together and we have all this experience together, and like yeah, I don't know, just like kind of simple stuff. So I was like, all right, whatever. So this was our first like real fight, honestly. And right after we got into it, it was Valentine's Day. So I was like, I just like already was kind of over it. And for me at the time, I was like going through, I don't even know what was going on, but I was just like very shy. Like when I first met him, I couldn't talk to him because I didn't know him. And then at this point, it was like I almost went back to feeling like I didn't know him at all. So like we were doing a double date with two of our friends for Valentine's Day, and we were just gonna go to their house and we were gonna make pizza. I'm almost positive that we were making pizza at their house. And me just reliving my shitty date from 6 years ago when I dumped somebody. I didn't even realize that. That's so crazy. But we were making pizza at their house, and we like had pretty much hung out right before and like went to get ingredients, and then we were gonna go hang out with them. And I genuinely don't think I said more than 2 words the entire time. And it wasn't because I was like purposely trying to like ice him out or anything. It was literally just because I like felt like I couldn't. And at that point in time, I was so like shy and nervous that like after we had that fight, I literally just like could not think of anything to say. Like I had really bad anxiety. And on top of it, like I wasn't super close with the guy and his girlfriend at the time that we were going on a date with. Now they're like good friends of mine, but at the time they weren't. So I literally don't think I said 2 words the entire date. And then I remember that he went to go drive me home, and I was like, because at the time I was 15, so I couldn't drive. So he went to go drive me home, and I was like not crying on the way home, but like about to, like on the edge of doing it, because I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't really like dislike this guy. I really did like him for so long. And then once we started dating, all of a sudden I just like wasn't feeling it. And then we got into that fight, and then I just like, I was so overwhelmed, I think, just because it was my first relationship, that I like could not handle an argument at that point. So I remember I went inside my house and nobody was home. I don't know where my mom was, but she was out somewhere with somebody. And I don't know if her and my sister were out together. They were somewhere, both of them. And I remember I just went back in the house and just like lost it essentially. And I ended up texting him and just being like, hey, listen, like I can't do this anymore, which is really shitty of me. I did it over text, but again, my first relationship, I was 15, like I didn't know any better. And I ended up doing it over text, and I just texted him and I was like, listen, like I don't know what the argument is about, but like I just can't do this anymore. It's just not working for me. Like I pretty much just like telling him that that was it, like over text, which like why would you ever do that? So I ended up breaking up with him through text on Valentine's Day, after our Valentine's Day date, and it was awful. And then a few months later, I think, like probably September, I ended up becoming friends with him again, and like with all of his friends, and now like to this day, there's still some of my closest friends. I'm gonna be in their wedding, the couple that we went on the date with originally, actually, I'm gonna be in their wedding in October, so no hard feelings. I'm just now starting to realize that like all of the horrible Valentine's days that I have are probably just karma for what I put him through in the first place, because that was terrible and nobody deserves to be broken up with on Valentine's Day by text. But you know what? We live and we learn. No hard feelings. Him and I are friends, so yeah. And I think we're done with our pizza. Look at it. I don't want to like be too loud because of parchment paper. Oh God. We're gonna pop it in and then I will be back when it's done. All right, everybody. It's done. It's looking a little doughy, if I'm honest, but honestly, not bad. All right, so I'm gonna go eat my pizza because I'm starving and I have to go clean up because I'm an adult and nobody cleans up after me, but it's fine. Like this video, let me know what types of videos you want to see from me. A lot of people wanted more dating type story time videos, but like I gotta think of story times because my life is really not that interesting, if I'm being honest. Subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, it's @ChloeWiggs, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.